Okay, boys and girls, we're going to start to talk about our animal sculptures. I'm going to talk a little bit about this word right here, alebrije. This is a word that describes the type of animal sculpture we're going to create, and it's a really specific type of art that comes from a country called Mexico. So we're going to talk about what that word means and why our animals are going to look very brightly colored. So before you start your animal today, remember, you need to finish your person sculpture. So that was the little mini person that we molded with the tin foil. We wrapped it up with the tape and we posed it and we wrapped it up with the paper mache. This was just a practice, so just make sure you very simply finish with the paper mache. Okay, let's talk about alebrijes. So alebrije, this is a word that describes a type of sculpture that comes from Mexico. So I'm going to tell you a story about the man who created this type of art. So this type of art was first created by a man named Pedro Linares, and in 1930 in Mexico is when he started to create this type of art. So almost 100 years ago. So one night when he was at his house, he became very sick. He started to have really weird dreams when he went to sleep that night of really odd creatures. These creatures looked somewhat like animals, and they were very brightly colored. He was so fascinated by them that he started creating them into sculptures. So he saw these crazy things in his dreams and he just thought, oh my goodness, I have to make this into a work of art. They just looked so amazing and brightly colored and very odd looking. So he wanted to make art out of it. So this art that he created spread to an area of Mexico called Oaxaca. So that's just like a city in Mexico. The alebrijes became very popular, this type of art. Many people started carving them out of wood and sold them for a lot of money. Most of the sculptures started to look like common animals after a while. So they went from these kind of creature-like sculptures into more like modern animals. So this is Oaxaca, Mexico. It's all the way down here on the bottom of Mexico. And here's two artists in Mexico, and they are building these alebrije animal sculptures. So they actually don't make their sculptures out of tin foil and tape. They actually carve them out of big pieces of wood. Once they're carved, they start to paint them many patterns and bright colors. This is the style that we see a lot in Mexico. Very bright colors and patterns. So let's look at a couple examples of some alebrijes that people in Mexico have created. Here is a lizard, and you can see the patterns, the bright colors, and all the body parts of the lizard. Here is a wolf. We see an owl. So lots of animals that you're used to seeing every day. A frog, a cheetah. So it could be any animal that you can think of for your animal sculpture, and then a turtle and an owl here. So we'll talk more about the patterns and these really detailed pictures that they're putting on top of the animals later. But today we really need to talk about the goals that we need to meet to build a sculpture. So this is going to kind of take us a few weeks to actually build this animal sculpture. So we're going to create an animal form out of recycled materials like tinfoil, newspaper, and tape. Later, we're going to paper mache the animal all over. So remember, paper mache means glue, and we're going to add the paper to it to make it colorful. So remember, the paper mache holds your animal together. It makes it nice and hard like a statue. And then later we'll talk about painting the animal many bright colors and patterns, just like the style of those alebrije animals from Mexico. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do today is actually pick what animal you want to create. So I have a lot of worksheets that look like this, photographs of animals. You're going to pick just one photograph. Next, if you want to try this, you can take just a marker or a crayon and look at the forms that you see in your animal. So if I'm looking at this cat here, I know that there's a very large body, kind of looks like a big ball. There's another small head. There are some triangle ears. And then there's a couple, 1, 2, 3, 4 legs here that look kind of like cylinders. So I'm just going to take my crayon and just go over the forms I see. This will help me when I look back at my worksheet to see how to build my animal. I can see that I need to start with a big body, a head, and then these other forms. So you'll keep this at your table while you're working on your animal sculptures. So in my next video, I'm going to show you now what supplies we can use to build these animals and some tools that will help you and some processes that will help you as well.